Hashtag CMooney making a live stream of the latest new intake from The Boys, Season 5, Episode 4, King of Hell, which bit nostalgia on that name for being everything else, which Gregor a big fan of Has-Been Hotel and, well, shows from Supernatural, which ironically is linked to. Only if Crowley was also a cameo in there too. But regardless of the chit chat, I just want to say after seeing uh, today last night's episode, I was like, holy shit! I mean, I didn't know where you would go after the hype it went in the last episode, where to even start with also Soldier Boy still being alive after the virus that was supposed to kill him. Well, only seems to have only made him stronger, in a sense. And the fact that, well, we're dealing between all of that and Homelander, it's basically gone down the rabbit hole to the point where it doesn't even exist anymore to come out of the hole, where he has gone full on mental for now believing he is now the son of God or everything, and he wants everyone to simply. And at the same time, he knows of his mortality and is going to no lengths to find the original V1 that he could live forever and be immune to the virus. But at the same time, with barely any remorse seen it, up until he's faced with a little bit of finally seeing his own little kryptonite. Well, I guess it wouldn't really still kill him, but it's glad to see Homelander finally get a taste, more of a taste of his old medicine than when, you know, Butcher was on temporary feet and teaming up with Soldier Boy had given him a good run for his money. Now to see not only him struggling, but to see him Perry passing out to the point where it looked like he was about to drop dead any second, but fortunately the bastard lives to see another day. But it's interesting to see how uranium, while he can survive a nuclear bomb, as they stated in the Boy universe, it still seems to have an effect on him like anybody would against being that much radioactive. I guess that was the case for Soldier Boy too, since that's where they begin to make sure if they could survive a nuclear bomb test, which of course they did, but it seems to enamor their abilities to an extent. Like Homelander couldn't even shoot intense laser beams anymore. He could barely even keep them up. And to see the how it affected his skin, good God, you know that got hurt. You know, and we already know he could feel pain before, established and back in when he was just a boy and fought was testing his abilities. They put him in a frickin' oven, and even though his skin didn't burn, he could still feel the intense pain. So my goodness of what he could possibly feel and not being able to die. And you'll be soon facing with the same dilemma that his father is now currently facing, for which we are still waiting for soon the reveal between his meet-up reunion with his brother from another show universe mother. Jared, I can't really. I mean, if I'm saying that name right, Jared Patisky, and then it goes Simon Mullen or Mesmin Mullen or Mesmin Collin for the on Supernatural Rights. It'll be something worth seeing. And it's ironic that I'm also mentioning how the showrunner of the show was the same one who directed the entire Supernatural. So this is a create, Pride and Nostalgia Union, if you will say so. Kind of like the same thing with The Walking Dead and the Invincible universe. It's funny how they all correlate. Oh, especially with Jeffrey D. Morgan being both Joe Kressler and Conquest from When the Boys and Invincible. Maybe one day we'll have a crossover between them. I mean, heck, Invincible's animation comes directly from, some parallel from the boys' Diabolical animations. They're not too far off from each other. But I ain't here to talk about Invincible. I'm talking about this and the boys. And I have to say, the most intense of the season, even though this is not in the current episode, I need to bring it up because how they tried to give, again, the good old nostalgia reference in the most brutal way, with that being Homelander being his son to an inch of his life. Once he found out that he raped his own mother, and good God, in every way I felt euphoric and saying, yeah, yeah. And the fact that he gave him a nosebleed, classic. Right, I mean, I only wish it could have been done a bit more, but he had to get an upper edge because of either height and because he's a bit older. Who knows, really? But you could definitely know when to start punching you going, you want to die for this earth? Fine. What's 17 more years? I could always start again. Okay, I'm sorry. But that is the last reference I'm making. But I will say, in this episode, we really see more of an extent of how the original V1 was an early beta test and didn't work out for most people. But if they did, they would go through hellish phase no different than what Pete Thought does with V1 test subjects now. With literally one of them being nothing but a s'mores from The Last of Us, bring nothing to hate once Butcher and the boys get to the compound. And Butcher is already on another level of rooted dark side, with him being now literally joined up with a fucking pesticide of himself inside of him, which is only amped more due to the spores. And honestly, it's just kind of sad how it all comes crashing down between them. And the first season, you saw the real build-up of a relationship. And the second season, you saw more of a good, genuine heart to it. And the third, then you see it all comes to see in the fall, the breaking up of the point where Butcher starts to lie, takes temp fee, which for the record in the boys' comics, all the boys had V1 to be on par, just to fight fire over fire, but they want to be more nostalgic unit, which I can respect, but it's also just trying to be more accurate to an extent. I'm not sure how fully happy I am with Butcher being having technical powers over, heat vision, not to mention, or generally having bad powers at all, other than super strength. But how it was for him in the comics. Kind of feels a bit underwhelming, but at the same time, who really gives a hell as long as he still a badass with that action that nobody can understand, but it doesn't matter as long as it links it. And unfortunately, also our hopes were dashed for possibly the new noir being the new noir, the possibly being a clone of Homelander, like in the comics. No, it's just that talks a lot African rapper that he auditioned for the role and then just really takes it to another level in this season, but now breaks character after the Deep betrays him and everything. Which I understand, but could have possibly left your mask off for us to possibly give us hope that maybe it is a Homelander clone. But no, he doesn't do that. He doesn't do that at all. And then, I tell you, it was truly rich. Butcher finally got to have his moment seeing Homelander. So decrepit, so. I mean, seeing him locked up in a chamber slowly. Well, he can't die, but he knows what close to death feels like by now. And even more, even when he's faced with fantasy, Homelander's faced with more of the delusion that he is the world's greatest savior. That he is, everyone needs him. When not even his own father wants to even the idea of him still being alive. Which says a lot. It says a lot. And honestly, I'm feeling kind of sad because maybe his father was starting to warm up to him. But all of those were kind of dashed. And now I'm finally running back to what was an important scene between Soldier Boy and who was the root of the investment of hate that was going on in the facility at Fort Hampton. Fort Harmony. That is a feed up suit, V1 soup called Quinn, who became part of the literal wall and started to become part of plants that explore around the facility, spreading nothing to hate until people killed each other. And I have a feeling, I have a pitch that people are mentioning that might possibly be Soldier Boy's brother. That Homelander mentioned it only in this episode of how that he was jealous of his brother, so he begged his dad get him on the V1 trials. And so far, it seems like when he was talking to Quentin that he was a rich and saying he's a scientist, but maybe you could be both a scientist and a soldier. It's not too far different. The way he says, because after Frenchie tricks Soldier Boy into using his powers to kill Quinn in order to save everyone from, the killing themselves, he immediately says he's sorry. So sorry, in fact, that he doesn't even run or walks away. Not that he does have to, because he's a little nuclear bomb himself, that he could fry the fee out of his son if when he does eventually break out, and was about to literally kill his own father, I imagine. But he stays there and just says to him, just do it, end it, which you find a reason to feel like he's now in this now midlife crisis all of a sudden. How he's now facing with the mortality of everything about himself. That person must have been someone really close to him, and so close that even more than his own son, that he's just like had enough and just wants to die, or maybe parts of him wants to die, and he doesn't really try to fight it with Homeland. But Homeland is seeing his own man so petty, he doesn't even bother, feeling like that is enough, which also says something about Homelander. Maybe he just doesn't really want to kill his own man, but also at the bottom end, the whole show ending with him being announced to America as the savior of, the Lord himself, the prophet of the Lord, to basically be everybody worship him as the new Messiah, which, get the frick out of here. And even after the shit that went down in Fort Harmony, even after merely getting radioactively wasted with skin, suddenly after he gets out, his skin starts to repair itself, like, immediately. It's crazy how, I thought Soup didn't really have a healing factor, because obviously we just see that from Stormfront, not from, few who lost their arms. The only person we've seen real well is Kimiko, who survived some deep shit, but she always came back together. But we hardly see where it is common healing factor for most people who get V1 in their systems. along with just a bonus of strength, super strength, along with any other unique ability of their own, because he's pretty much the latter in the boys' universe. But all in all, this is a good summary of what has been going so far in the boys season 5, episode 4. I can't wait for episode 5. And more to check on this channel. I'm hashtag CMooney. I'll see you next time. Peace.